Okay, the next phase of the history of the Federal Reserve note. So in this, we begin transitioning already from how they looked with the initial security already implemented and still implemented in this phase in the same manner for 5, 10, and 20, and into the beginnings of a new style, the large head, but with the circle. So we started seeing the appearance of these kinds of Federal Reserve notes where instead of a small head, it's a large head, but there's still the circle around the head. So let's step through the specifics here. Okay, now the $1 is still in the final phase of its web note experiment. So this is the regular $1 note, series 1995, and now it's Withrow and Rubin. So it looks pretty normal. The web note for the same period, as you can see, has a little number by itself, no letter, a somewhat more washed out look, and a little number up there. So these are the web notes, but it is still Withrow and Rubin, same cycle, so in 1995. So this is the final phase of trying to do the web press. I guess it was ultimately a failed experiment, but they gave it a try, and they did it for several phases here. Okay, now the next thing that's kind of cool, the $2 finally makes a reappearance for the first time after series 1976. So that's kind of something. Circulation ones only came from the Bank of Atlanta, Georgia. There were sheets as souvenirs of all 12 banks, but only that one bank produced regular notes that were placed in circulation. The $5 continues the same program, the same extra line around it of micro printing, and you can kind of see a ghost of it there. The strip inside, that is the security strip inside. So the same usual security techniques that began to be implemented with series 1990, continued here for series 1995. And same goes for the $10. So no changes to those denominations. Okay, now the $20 was kind of unusual in this regard because it exists both as the same style as before, still same year, signatures, and the same small head, but with the extra line of microprinting, etc. All the usual security measures, and same overall appearance in the back. But it also appeared during the time of the same two officers, Withrow and Rubin, in this new format, which totally changes the whole look of everything. It has all these security features. In another series, I detail those security features, but I'm not going to do that here. Again, this focused on the chronology of the introduction of these notes. So, in series 1995, or as we see when we have the new size, it becomes series 1996. So if it's 1995, it has the old look. That includes all the $1 and $2 bills, but plus the 5 and 10 and 20 are also 1995. But this thing is 1996, and as it turns out, the 50 and the 20 only exist. So where they last existed as the small head from series 1993, there was no 1995. They just went directly for series 1996. Same signatures, Withrow and Rubin. Okay, to the new look for that. So the large heads for the $50 came out immediately, and as you can see, the reverse has a very different look too. And by the way, let's take a look at the reverse of this. This also reworks the look of the White House in comparison, let's say, to what it had been before. We're actually looking at the other side of the White House. Interesting. So that's kind of cool. All right. So again, on the back side is also changed here. And in this case, and again, it's a very different view of the Capitol building. In fact, this also seems to be from the other side. Interesting. Okay. And then finally, the $100 proceeds directly from the 1993. Oh, from the which had its own signatures, as you recall, without a 1995, and directly to Series 1996, Withrow and Rubin. So here we are again to the large head immediately. And it changed its picture of the Independence Hall. Probably the least of all of these. In fact, it really just seems to have been, kind of a cleanup and redrawing more than anything else. So that's changed the least. I suspect that that's because this was the first denomination to come out in this new form, and then the 50s, the 20s, meanwhile, went in both forms, and then that form. The others could just stay in the regular. Well, the next phase, is now Series 1999, and there's a $1 for that. And now Rubin is replaced with, looks like Summers. I'll say Summers. I may be wrong on that. At any rate, so Withrow and Summers. So, but other than that, we have pretty much the same look. The $1 hasn't really appreciably changed, but the $5 now gets its large size head. So that's a whole big different look, as distinct from before, obviously. Let's see, the reverse gets a redrawing. Still has In God We Trust and $5 and all the usual things, but a lot less scroll work. Things are a lot simplified, and it is obviously redrawn and enlarged, and you can actually make out more details of the sculpture of Abraham Lincoln. And it still says Lincoln Memorial. Okay, so that's the same, but this is kind of a redrawn thing. And also now, the $10 finally comes out as a large head as well for Series 1999. Withrow and Summer, I think. So, yeah, $10 is like that. It's a different drawing of the Treasury. Straight on. Kind of cool. Okay. See what changed. Okay. So, $20 continues along with a new design given it in Series 1996. Just new signatures in a year. They didn't do a 50, but they did do another $100 for that year. Again, no changes. Finally, Series 2001 puts the whole thing together. Well, other than the $2, which was still kind of a, not established thing yet. So the $1 is unchanged. The $5 continues. Now we have new signatures. Rosario. I'm not going to try to make that out. And it looks like Oroville. Anyway. So, but the images are the same. It's just new signatures and a new series number 2001. And now the whole package is put together. So Series 2001 now at last shows the whole series up and down the denomination ranks in this new form, as this is now fully established at the conclusion of this era that introduces these large heads. So that's the end of this series. Thank you very much for listening.